The elevator stopped on a floor that didn't exist. I pressed the button, and the lights dimmed. The hum of the machinery seemed different this time. Deeper, heavier. I had taken this elevator countless times before, but tonight, it felt alive. The doors slid open with a hiss. There was no lobby, no hallway, no exit. Just darkness stretching endlessly ahead. The air smelled faintly of metal and dust, like a forgotten basement, but the space wasn't underground. I stepped out cautiously. My shoes clicked against smooth, polished tiles that reflected nothing but shadows. There were no signs, no walls, no indication I was anywhere familiar. A faint light flickered ahead. I moved toward it, heart hammering in my chest. Each step echoed, but the sound didn't behave like it should. It lingered, then vanished, swallowed by the void around me. The elevator doors closed behind me. I ran to press the button to call it back, but the panel was gone. I turned in panic. Nothing but the endless hallway of gray darkness. A whisper brushed against my ear. "You shouldn't be here." I spun around. No one was there. My chest tightened. I called out, but my voice didn't echo normally. It sounded muffled, distant, like I was speaking underwater. The faint light ahead flickered again. Shapes moved within it, shapes that shouldn't exist. Tall, humanoid forms, but distorted, as if the elevator had pulled them out of physics itself. "Who's there?" I shouted, my voice cracking. The shapes didn't answer. They just shifted, moving closer in silence. The shadows bent angles that defied logic. I stumbled backward. I pressed my hand to the wall, hoping for some sense of reality. My fingers sank into it. Not wool, but soft, pliable flesh. I screamed and pulled back. The texture was warm, almost alive, pulsing slightly under my touch. The whisper came again. "You don't belong here." I ran toward the flickering light. It seemed to move further as I approached, receding like the horizon. Then a sound I'll never forget filled the space, the metallic creak of an elevator descending. But there was no shaft, no doors. Just the sound coming closer. I turned, and there it was. The elevator, open, waiting, its interior light, bright and normal. But the numbers on the panel were impossible. F1, F2, then F0, F1, F100. I pressed a random button. The doors closed. I expected a ride, but instead, the floor shook, the walls bending inward, warping like wet clay. Something screamed. Not human, not fully audible, but terrifying. A sound that clawed at the inside of my skull. I stumbled, holding my head. The elevator was moving. Slowly. Far too slowly. The doors opened. Another impossible floor. This one was colder. The tiles were cracked, walls streaked with rust and grime. And there, faintly, etched into the walls, hundreds of handprints. Small, large, some smeared as if struggling. I realized with horror they weren't mine. They belonged to those trapped here before me. A faint voice echoed through the hallway. "Why do you run?" I didn't answer. The shadows shifted closer, forming shapes that mirrored human movement, but twisted at unnatural angles. My phone was useless. No signal. The battery drained instantly. I couldn't call for help. I had nowhere to go but forward. Each floor, each number on the panel, was worse than the last. The air grew colder, thicker. Whispers surrounded me, just on the edge of hearing. The elevator's normal hum had become a growl. I passed a floor marked F13. The doors opened, and the corridor was upside down. Gravity felt wrong. My feet dragged toward the ceiling as though invisible hands pulled me upward. A low chuckle reverberated around me. I ran, stumbling through impossible architecture. A door slammed behind me. I turned to see an impossible number F, and through that door, the darkness moved. Watching. Waiting. I pressed myself against a wall, gasping. My heart was in my throat. Then I heard a familiar, human sound. The elevator hum, but this time it was beckoning me. I realized something terrifying. The elevator wasn't broken. It was hunting. It chose who would enter, and now it had chosen me. I screamed. The air bent around my voice. Shapes darted from shadow to shadow, and above me, the lights on the panel flickered. F1, F2, The numbers shifted faster than I could comprehend. I bolted desperately, trying to find an exit that didn't exist. And then a whisper brushed my ear again. "You'll never leave." I ran blindly, following the impossible corridor. The floor beneath me felt unstable, creaking like old wood, though the tiles looked solid. My footsteps echoed unnaturally, lingering too long before fading. The shadows were moving again. Not chasing, not attacking, just watching. Their elongated limbs bent around corners and edges I didn't know existed. I reached a floor labeled F7. The doors opened into darkness. Absolute darkness. I tried to step out, but the hallway had no floor, just a void stretching endlessly beneath my feet. I stumbled backward, hitting the wall. My hands felt the tiles, but the texture was wrong soft, almost spongy. The floor shivered beneath me, like it was breathing. Then I heard it. The whisper again. "You can't leave. You spoon around." The elevator doors were open again. The lights inside were too bright, almost painful to look at. The numbers on the panel had shifted. F1, F2, F3, F42, I pressed a button at random. The hum started, vibrating through the floor in my chest. The elevator moved, but not up or down. Sideways, diagonally, defying every law of physics I knew. The doors opened onto a floor that looked like my apartment building. Familiar. Too familiar. I could see my street outside the window. Lights of cars passing. The usual city sounds. Relief washed over me until I noticed the apartments were empty. Completely silent. A figure appeared in the reflection of the glass. A woman, pale, with eyes too wide for her face. She mouthed something. I couldn't hear it, but I understood. "They're here." I turned. Nothing. The room looked empty again, but the elevator hum was louder now. It wasn't just a sound, it was alive. Guiding me, leading me, trapping me. I pressed the emergency button. The red light blinked. A dial tone rang. Nothing. Then a voice, distorted and hollow, echoed through the speaker. "Welcome back. You've been gone too long." I tried to scream. My voice caught. My throat ached. The reflection in the window showed dozens of shadows now, crouched in corners I couldn't see. Watching. Waiting. I pressed FO. The floor opened into a hallway lined with mirrors. My reflection was me, but it wasn't. The face staring back was twisted, pale, and silent. It moved on its own, mimicking my fear perfectly. The whisper returned. "You'll join us soon." I ran. The mirrors multiplied. Every reflection showed me in a different pose, different expression, all screaming silently. The shadows behind them flickered and twisted. One reached toward me. I fell. The tiles gave way. A gust of cold air rushed up from below. I landed in a dark void. Above me, the elevator doors hovered in midair. The numbers flickering uncontrollably. I scrambled to my feet. There was a faint glow ahead, like a faint exit. I ran toward it, but the glow moved away as I approached. It wasn't guiding me. It was taunting me. The elevator appeared above me again, lowering silently, doors opening. Inside, I could see countless floors, stacked impossibly, each with distorted figures pressing against walls, windows, and doors. Silent faces, staring. I wanted to look away. I couldn't. Something deep in my chest forced me to watch. I saw people I knew, friends, strangers, all trapped, their faces twisted in terror, reaching toward the elevator, toward me. A whisper came from everywhere at once. "You're next." I ran blindly, following what I hoped was an exit. The hallway stretched infinitely, twisting in impossible angles. The shadows moved closer, converging, surrounding. I pressed every button on the elevator panel at random. The numbers changed faster than I could comprehend. F1, F99, F. The hum reached a deafening pitch. Then the doors opened again. This time, it was a floor I didn't recognize. The walls bled darkness, oozing like liquid shadow. The air smelled of iron and decay. I realized I wasn't just on another floor. I was inside the elevator's mind, the space it controlled. Every floor was a trap. Every corridor, a puzzle designed to crush my sanity. The shadows advanced, their faces blurred. Limbs stretching unnaturally. Some formed human shapes, others twisted impossibly. I screamed, but no sound came. Only the hum of the elevator, alive, echoing in my bones. Then a hand grabbed my shoulder. Cold, solid, I spun. A small child stood there, pale, eyes wide, whispered, "It stops for no one, but it wants you to see." Premeta turned back. The elevator doors closed behind me. The hum rose to a roar. Numbers flickered endlessly. The lights stuttered. The shadows surged. I realized with absolute horror that the elevator didn't just move floors. It moved lives. It didn't stop for physics, or reason, or humanity. It stopped for me. I pressed myself against the elevator wall, chest heaving. The hum vibrated through my bones, deep and knowing. It wasn't just metal, it was alive. Every panel, every wire, every number on the display pulsed like a heartbeat. The child's eyes followed me, pale, hollow, yet pleading. "You can't go back," it whispered. "But you can see." The doors opened. Another floor. Ife flashed briefly on the panel. Tinbani said. The hallway ahead stretched infinitely, dark and wet, like the inside of a lung. I took a hesitant step forward. My shoes sank slightly into the floor. Not solid. Soft. Damp. Like mud. A faint scent of decay rose. Shapes moved in the shadows. Not just one. Hundreds. Lean. Distorted. Crawling across walls, ceilings, and floors. Watching. Waiting. Smiling with impossible mouths. The child tugged at my sleeve. "They want you to look," it sighed softly. "Don't blink." I followed the faint flicker of lights ahead. Panels on the walls blinked images of the floors I had already visited. Each reflection showed faces pressed against mirrors and doors. Faces I recognized. Some friends, some strangers, all screaming silently. A hand reached from one of the panels. Long, thin, bending impossibly. I recoiled. My shoulder brushed the wall. The fingers inside the panel flexed, searching, hungry. The elevator panel flickered again. Numbers changed rapidly. F12, F9, 99, F. I tried pressing buttons frantically. Nothing happened. The buttons didn't respond. The hum rose to a roar. I felt weightless. The child screamed, echoing in the air. "He's coming!" The shadows surged, not running. Flowing. Moving in ways I couldn't track. They pressed around me, inside the walls, beneath the floor, behind the ceiling. I was trapped in a living maze. I tried to back away. The corridor bent. Angles twisted. Walls folded in on themselves like paper. I ran forward blindly. I passed a floor labeled F13. The doors opened. Inside was an endless staircase spiraling downward, and along the steps, silhouettes of people, trapped, clawing, staring silently, their eyes following me. I heard a voice from above. Not the child. Not human. Deep, metallic, echoing through every beam, every number, every shadow. "You belong to the ride now." I stumbled on the stairs. The steps shifted beneath me. Some disappeared, others stretched infinitely. The air was thick, suffocating, pulsing with the hum of the elevator. I tried to scream no, Someone came. My mouth opened, but only a faint vibration. The child ran ahead, turning to beckon me. "This is the last floor," it whispered. "The last floor. F. Infinity." The doors opened into complete blackness. No walls, no floor, no ceiling. Just an abyss stretching into infinity. The hum of the elevator now filled my mind completely. The shadows formed a shape, tall, towering, limbs bending at impossible angles. Its face was blank. Nothing. Yet it radiated intelligence, patience, and hunger. The child clutched my hand. Its body flickered like static. "You can leave," it whispered, "or you can see the truth." I realized with horror that if I stepped forward, I would enter the abyss. If I stayed, I would be trapped in the elevator forever. Every floor I had visited, the screams, the faces, were all warnings. The shadow moved closer. It didn't walk. It flowed, bending through space, filling the corridor. The hum became a voice. "You cannot leave. You can only ride." The floor beneath me rippled. Shapes of previous passengers formed in the tiles, twisting and turning, silent, pleading. The child's eyes widened. "It chooses you," it said softly. I ran blindly. The hallway shifted. Every step forward felt like a century. The elevator doors hovered ahead, open, waiting. Numbers flickered impossibly. F-O, F-1. F, infinity, F-I Dovine. The doors closed behind me. The hum surged, rattling my bones. The child was gone. The shadows pressed against the glass. The panel numbers spun uncontrollably. Then the elevator moved, not up, not down, not sideways. Every direction at once. My stomach twisted. Gravity shifted. My body floated in the confined space. A whisper came. All around me. "You wanted to see. Now you belong." The elevator doors opened again. Another floor, another impossible space. My reflection in the panel blinked independently. And for the first time, I saw my face twisted, pale, like the others. I pressed every button. The hum became unbearable. I screamed. The shadows multiplied. I realized with total certainty there was no exit. There had never been. The child's faint voice returned, barely audible. "The elevator stops for no one. But it wanted you to see." I slumped to the floor. The hum became silence. Then, a faint metallic click. The doors opened, revealing another corridor that should not exist. I had survived the floors, the shadows, the impossible spaces. But the elevator's truth was clear. It doesn't just move between floors. It moves through lives, through realities, bending rules until it chooses its next passenger. And now, it had chosen me. The elevator doors opened. Another floor. Another impossible corridor. The hum was quieter now, but heavier, like the air itself had weight. I stepped out. The tiles were cracked and blackened. Shadows clung to the corners, shifting as if alive, following my every move. The panel flickered. Numbers ran wild. F1, F, F, F. They weren't floors anymore. They were warnings. A countdown. I pressed FO, desperate. The doors closed. The hum rose into a roar. Shapes of passengers I'd seen before flickered along the walls, faces pale. Mouths open in silent screams. The child's voice whispered again. "It stops for no one, but it shows the way." I ran. The hallway twisted. Gravity shifted. I felt weightless 1 second, slammed against the wall the next. The shadows were closer now. I could hear them breathing. I reached a set of doors that seemed normal. A small sliver of daylight peeked through the crack. Relief flooded me. I reached for the handle. The doors shifted. They weren't doors, just walls. Solid, living walls, breathing slightly under my hands. I screamed. My knuckles bled from pressing, trying to tear them open. The hum surged. I realized the truth. The elevator didn't stop at floors. It stopped at people. It stopped at fear. It stopped at curiosity. And it had chosen me. The panel numbers blinked faster. FFF. The shadows merged. One gigantic shape formed from hundreds of smaller shapes, looming above me, bending reality around it. The child's whisper echoed, softer, almost comforting. It wants to show you. Look, and you'll understand. I forced myself to look. Through a flicker of light in the shadows, I saw corridors from every floor I had visited, every impossible hallway, every trapped passenger. I saw faces pressed against walls, ceilings bending, stairs folding infinitely. The floors I thought were real. The shadow leaned close, its form impossible to describe, limbs bending like liquid, edges flowing. Its presence pressed into my mind. "You wanted to see?" it said. "Now, you ride." I stumbled backward. The elevator doors appeared again, hovering in midair. I had no choice. I stepped inside. The hum consumed me. The numbers spun uncontrollably. I realized the elevator had merged with the building itself. Every impossible floor, every corridor, every trapped soul was now part of the ride. I was part of it. The lights flickered. My reflection in the panel blinked independently. My face pale. My eyes wide. Not just me. Not just my reflection. Every passenger I had seen before appeared, trapped in mirrored panes across the panel. The hum became a voice. There is no leaving. Only riding. Only watching. Only waiting. I pressed buttons randomly. If zero. If uno. If the elevator shook violently, shadows surged along the walls, reaching, twisting, bending reality. A thought hit me. The elevator didn't just move physically. It moved through fear, through time, through perception. It stopped at those who were curious, those who wanted to know. Primera, escríame. The walls of the elevator warped, bending in impossible angles. I clutched the panel. My reflection now smiled at me. A shadow behind me whispered, "They'll stop for no one, but it will show you." The elevator lurched violently. Then silence. Absolute. I opened my eyes. I was back in the building lobby. Morning sunlight streamed through the windows. Everything looked normal. I ran outside, my legs shaking, heart racing. But when I looked back, the building was impossible. Endless floors stacked impossibly high. Windows reflected shadows where none should be. I realized with horror, the elevator had not let me go. It had merely returned me to start. To continue the ride later. To choose again. If you ever see a number on an elevator that doesn't belong, a floor that shouldn't exist, don't press it. Don't step out. Because once it knows curiosity, it stops for you. If you made it this far on Unblinking, comment below. Would you press the button if you saw it? Like this video if the story made your skin crawl? Share it with someone brave enough to ride. And subscribe to Unblinking for more stories that will stop for no one. Because somewhere, right now, an elevator's humbling through impossible floors. Waiting. Watching. And maybe it's stopping for you.